I became fascinated by this motor sled model, which I found in the instruction manual of the Märklin Metallbaukasten construction kit from 1952. I decided to build it. However, I wanted to replace the silly windmill-like propeller blades with more realistic ones. While researching the history of motor sleds online, I noticed that the model closely resembled the motor sleds used by the German professor Alfred Wegener's Greenland expedition in 1930. Alfred Wegener was a climatologist, geophysicist, and experienced polar researcher. In 1915, he proposed the theory of continental drift, suggesting that the current continents were once part of a massive landmass called Pangaea, surrounded by a single large ocean. Over time, the continents drifted apart, moving across the Earth's molten interior. Initially, Wegener's theory faced strong opposition and was not accepted until the 1960s, decades after his death. On Wegener's final expedition in 1930, the team landed on Greenland's west coast, where a base camp was established. IceMeter, an observation station, was set up 400 kilometers inland in the middle of the ice sheet, and a third camp was established on Greenland's east coast. The purpose of the expedition was to collect meteorological, glaciological, and geological data at all three sites over the span of a year. 2 motor sleds were to transport supplies, food, and fuel between the base camp on the coast and IceMeter. Wegener estimated that the motor sleds could complete the round trip in 6 days, whereas dog sleds required 3 to 4 weeks for the same journey. Initially, IceMeter was nothing more than an unheated tent, which was supposed to be replaced by a winter shelter. However, due to transportation difficulties, the team had to construct living quarters and storage facilities from snow and ice. I was surprised to learn that Wegener's motor sleds were manufactured at the Finnish State Aircraft Factory in Helsinki, just a few kilometers from my home. The sleds were designed by engineer officer Arvo Tervasmaa. Building the motor sled from the Märklin metal construction kit required some bending of strips and plates. Contrary to the instructions, I designed a front wheel that turned along with the skis. When I found pictures of Wegener's motor sleds online, I was inspired to add more details to my model, such as safety bars behind the propeller. I built the propeller from Meccano parts. The original Märklin model did not include a motor. Instead, the propeller was driven by a cord connected to the rear axle when the sled was pushed forward. I equipped my model with a Meccano power drive unit electric motor and a 7.4-volt lithium polymer battery. Motor sleds had previously performed well on the flat ice of Finnish seas and lakes. However, in Greenland, thick soft snow, crevasses, and steep slopes caused problems. The motor sleds could not be used to resupply IceMeter. Meanwhile, at IceMeter, Ernst Sorge and Johannes Georgi had to construct an emergency ice bunker. It included an observation tower, simple living quarters, storage, and a shaft for glacial experiments. Despite the harsh conditions, scientific observations and experiments were carried out throughout the winter at IceMeter and other observation stations. As winter progressed, food and fuel began to run out at IceMeter. Alfred Wegener, Fritz Lover, and a 22-year-old Inuit guide named Rasmus Willemsen set out with dog sleds to deliver supplies to the station. The journey, undertaken in severe weather and temperatures around -58 degrees Fahrenheit, lasted 6 weeks. Love's feet suffered frostbite, forcing him to remain at IJsselmeer for the winter. His toes later had to be amputated in an ice cave at the site. Wegener and Willemsen began their return to base camp, but both perished along the way. Wegener's grave was found the following spring, halfway between the camps. He had likely died of a heart attack. Willemsen's body was never found. Wegener's wife, Elsa Wegener, compiled the expedition's research results into a book a year after the team's return. Through my Meccano hobby, I found myself immersed in a thrilling and dramatic expedition. I also learned about the history of Finnish motor sleds and Alfred Wegener's remarkable contributions. I wonder what other adventures my hobby will lead me to discover.